Hello and welcome to the show. This is a update on CEI, Camber Energy, and it is April 25th, 2022 at the time I'm making this video. Let me start by saying that I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Let's get started. So, on Thursday, James Doris tweeted after the markets had closed. He said, "Not concerned about meeting the ultimate deadline, but unfortunately won't hit my goal of being done tomorrow." This was posted Thursday in the afternoon or Thursday in the evening. There's more than one statement to complete, and the objective is to file everything at the same time. Viking is current. Camber is next. So Viking is completely current with its filings now. So no more filings need to be done in Viking. They may or may not do additional filings based on if there's new info or whatever. But Camber is the next stuff to file. Okay. James posted this on April 21st. His self-imposed deadline was April 22nd. So he won't be hitting that goal. And that's what he posted at that time. So there was a lot of course, communications happening in the Twitterverse at that point. Try Me Events basically says, "Hey, look, if you're selling shares after hours, you're a fool. Don't panic sell, because it might be next week or what, you know. If you've loaded on options for 422, then it's a risk you took." I don't do options. I think options are not a good idea because it's hard to be right on both the direction, the magnitude, and the time. And that you need to be right on all three for an option to pay off. Right? If you're right on the direction, great. But you got to be right on the magnitude as well, meaning it's got to go up above whatever premium you've paid, and hit the strike price, whatever that strike price is, hopefully, before it's worth anything. And it's got to do it within the correct amount of time. So you got to have all three factors working in order for an option to pay off. This is why I don't do options, by the way. Anyway, back to the tweet. You don't get 1,000% upside without risk. Believe me, I ate on options already. I don't know. Long-term holds, $10. Okay, great. Banking Buck said, "CEI is my final word, as I can't be effed with this Twitter account and listening. But I will leave these details here. James Doris, 19, has the filings done. Everything could be signed today by the auditor and filed, but he wants to get the whole C preferred stock situation right. So CEI had to send it back to the SEC and get that reviewed for the last time. It's a good thing he told me in positive there will be no issues going forward if the SEC approves it. He can then file and move on as the company is going forward with the merger, etc." This is John B. He did or JB Steelers. He did a DM, looks like, to with James Doris, and it looks like James Doris replied. Anyway, John B says, "There is zero chance the 10K don't get done. When you know, you know. Enjoy your weekend, CEI fam. Nothing but love for all of you." Looks like a direct message from James Doris is included in this, where he says, "Good afternoon, John. We do not get involved in the day-to-day trading of our stock, but greatly appreciate those who support our organization, and we never take such support for granted. There are 8 financial statements that have to be filed. As I've said many times, I am not one," well, I put in the am, "I'm not one to make guarantees, but there's no way I'm going to allow May 20th to go by without the financials being filed." He's going to file by May 20th. That's the thing. So anyway, let's look at what was filed on the SEC in terms of Viking. It's all done. These are the filings that needed to be done. There were 2 of them, the 10Q amendment of 2021 Q3 and the 10K for 2021. They were already filed. There are the filing dates. You can check it out on the SEC website. Here's a video that James Doris did on October 15th where he provided clarity on what needs to be filed, okay? So he went over the auditor change and all that, but he also listed out the filings that needed to be done for Camber. So I'm going to use that as my basis for what needs to be filed. He said there were 8 filings that need to be done, by the way. So let's see if we can go through this and see if there's 8.
That nothing I say is intended to qualify in any way. The details set out in the public filings for either Camber Energy or Viking Energy, so please review the public filings. But I thought it'd be helpful to clarify once again a few important items related to the status of Camber's filings. I apologize in advance for being repetitive, but I think it's important. So you'll recall we dismissed Camber's legacy auditor, and as stated, and that was done a few weeks ago, and as stated in the public filing at the time, it wasn't because of any material disagreement on accounting issues with the auditor. It was a business decision on our part. We believed, one, it was more efficient for the organization to have one auditor instead of one at Viking and one at Camber. And two, I wasn't pleased with the level of service from a business perspective from that particular business group within that auditing firm. I thought the level of service was horrible, and I thought their fees were outrageous. So again, nothing to do with accounting issues, but that's the business decision. So since then, Viking's auditor, now Camber's auditor, has been spending time getting up to speed on all of Camber's activities. It's already familiar with Viking's activities. Now it's got to get up to speed, and is in the process of doing so, on Camber's activities. And you'll remember that a couple of the financial statements from Camber have to be corrected because of the improper classification of the sale of preferred stock. Previously, they disclosed it or characterized it as permanent equity when it should have been outside of permanent equity based on the characteristics of those shares. And so the financial statements for the year end, March 31, 2020, and the 2Qs for 2020, they have to be corrected. So the auditors have to do that first, and then we have to do the transitional 10K for the 9-month period ending December 31, 2020. And this is where we changed Camber's year end, which used to be March 31. We changed it to December 31 to mirror Vikings. So we have to do a transitional report for 12/31/2020, and then the Qs for the balance of the year. So everybody's aware of the deadlines, working hard. There are no guarantees, but we're extremely confident it's going to get done by the deadline.
So this was done in October 15th. Obviously, they did not meet those deadlines. But let's stop that. Okay, so let's see. What was filed? Camber Energy. They intended to actually file those things. I made a list of these guys to be filed, and what was filed was... we had 3 filings done that was done on 11/22 and 11/23, or November 22nd and 23rd. And they were the 10Ks and the 10Qs, 1, 2, and 3. Now, in addition to, so the last filing that was on that list for number 7 was the 10Q for 9/30/2021. I'm adding the 10K for all of 2021 as the 8th one. So that means that there will be 8 filings total instead of the 7 that were listed with James Doris. So I'm basically saying that they need to refile all that stuff again, because it looks like that they wanted to do, I don't know, it looks like they had some problem with some C preferred shares or something like that. So anyway, so they're gonna clarify all that stuff again and refile all 8 filings all at once, it looks like, and hopefully they'll do it really quickly. But these are the 8 filings as they go through. If they do some filings along the way, I'll check them off. Again, I want them to file as much as anybody else because I want them to move forward. And once they file, things will just move really well. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to move on with that. Anyway, so TNY Investment says crunch time. Even if James Doris doesn't like what the SEC says, he will file the needed merger and paperwork before May 20th. So there's nothing to worry about. As Doris said, he's working too damn hard to let Camber delist. He's not going to let Camber delist. That ain't going to happen. To which John B. replied, finally someone worth listening to. Or finally someone's listening. That 10K filing will be done, with or without the okay from the SEC. No one cares who believes and who don't. do your thing. Buy or don't buy. Doesn't really matter to the CEI fam because everyone here basically knows that the filing will get done. And we're probably buying more along the way. Okay, I wound up buying some more shares along the way, just FYI. But whatever. Okay, to which White Ninja replied, "Hey, but if you don't get the okay from the SEC, the merger can't happen." No, it says yes, it can. All that's needed is an audited 10K, and it will be audited by Camber and Vikings auditors. The SEC is not asking for the 10K. Doris wants to make sure they don't have to redo the 10K down the road. He's doing it on his own. I am not Mr. Tony 9922, by the way. Anyway, I am Tony's Twits in Twitter, just FYI. So, but my name is Tony. Anyway, so yeah, they don't need to do anything. They just need to file. So they're gonna file. It's gonna get done. Okay. This is their stock price. As you can see, it has gone down since they indicated that they would not be filing. James Doris made his tweets on the 22nd after the market closed, and it reopened when it reopened significantly lower. There was an expectation that he would file. We figured he would file. I don't know why he missed his personal deadlines, but apparently he did. But he's not going to miss the actual deadline. Anyway, as a result, the stock price went down, I'm saying, for the last 2 days. Interestingly enough, the market also went down during that same period of time. If you look at the same points in time, the S&P 500, this is the S&P 500, it also went down a bit. So, I don't know. I don't know if Camber is going down by itself or if Camber is going down with the market. It's hard to say. Yeah, the S&P 500 went down. Okay, so this is Camber Energy long term. This is about a year. And in terms of a year, I think it's gone relatively sideways to downwards, but relatively sideways, which means the stock price is at a bargain right now. If it just gets back to $4 or $5 a share, that's significant. And that's a previous all-time high that's a previous yearly high that it hit, right? So it's not an outrageous price point for it to hit. So I put the various price points that I thought were critical for Camber Energy, right? I mean, the 52-week high was 485. If it gets back there, it's a 500% gain. I mean it's a gain of 6.03x, which is a 503% profit. Okay, if it gets to $5, which is basically a little bit more where it was headed, that's the 6.2 gain, right? If it gets to twice what that price was, which is not unreasonable because that's before the short attack happened. The short attack is what dropped it down from 485 all the way down to the price it's at now. But it looked like it was headed well towards the $10 mark or so. And if it gets there, that's a 12x gain, right? TME, or Try Me Events, has done his own calculation, which is on a previous video, and he thinks $25 is a fair value for it. If it gets anywhere between $10 to $25, there's a possibility of a short squeeze, because there's a ton of shorts on Camber Energy by companies like Carisdale Capital. We know that shorts exist, so it could easily, if a squeeze does occur, that means $50, $75, $100 is not outrageous at that point. So the numbers seem incredible, but it's not unreasonable. It's so weird to say, but it's true. It's just like, we hit 485 before, if this causes it to just double from that previous all-time high, that's not unreasonable. And if it gets to that level, the shorts are screwed. That means there's a short squeeze. It's just insane. There's a huge possibility of profit with Camber Energy. But again, there's also it's a very high risk stock, right? Because there's a danger of delisting if they don't file. So please, James Doris, file. I'm sure he's going to file. I mean, yeah, he's going to file. It's as simple. So this could be a very quick 5x, 10x or more. Okay, it's hard to say. Camber Energy is in my portfolio, and it's part of an overall larger plan that I have. So that portfolio includes GameStop, Metamaterials, Torchlight Preferred Shares, All of those are very high gain potentials stocks. If any of them take off, I roll the profits in to the other ones that haven't taken off yet. And if any of those take off, I roll those profits in. And it goes on. And that is a relatively very high potential overall gain, right? Anyway, everything might take off together. Everything might take off independently of each other. It's hard to say. But if everything takes off independently of each other, that gives time to roll the profits of one into the profits of the other, okay? Camber Energy has a bunch of oil and gas resources, and they also have renewable diesel. Oil and gas are doing really good right now. I mean, the prices are much higher than they were 6 months ago. There's a war going on with between Russia and the Ukraine, and wars are uncertainty, and uncertainty has a terrible effect on the price of oil. So that's just the way things are. Okay, all that Camber management needs to do is execute the plan. They don't need to be brilliant. They don't need for a meteor from Venus to fall to make everything right. No, they don't even need the market to do anything. They just need to execute to plan, and then they'll be in excellent shape. This is all within Camber's own domain. It's within their control. They just have to execute. And by executing, it means they just have to file paperwork. Literally, they just have to file paperwork. It can't be that hard. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, there is very likely a very large amount of short interest because we know that that Camber Energy has dropped in price significantly from 485 all the way down. Because there's a large amount of short interest, shorts can get liquidated, and that means they can get desperate, and that means they will pull out every single trick in the book. Tricks that haven't even been invented, tricks I can't even imagine. They want you to sell. And, that's just it. I made a previous video about why holding is hard. It was for metamaterials, Torchlight preferred shares, and holding is hard. I held on to crypto gains in terms of Bitcoins because a while back I bought Bitcoins at a very cheap price, and I held on as the price skyrocketed, and that was hard. And I held on as the price dropped 90%, and that was hard. Okay. And I held on as the price went up 10,000% after that. Okay, and that's also hard. Camber Energy has the potential for crypto level gains, and holding on when that rocket ship is taking off is going to be really hard. Okay. Anyway, I'm not going to go over all of what makes Camber Energy tick. Previously, one of the things that you have to be aware about is that there is a short attack that is happening with Camber Energy. Carousel Capital is a known short seller. They are definitely shorting Camber Energy because they announced it. They said so. Check out my previous video about that short attack and what they're doing. Also, the structure of Camber Energy, they are more than just an oil play, by the way. Oil and gas resources are a significant portion of what they have, and it's a reason why the price of Camber Energy can go up significantly. But even without that, they're a clean energy play. They're a renewable diesel play. They have Simpson Maxwell, which does electricity. They have they recently acquired this thing with open conductor transfer electric transmission lines. What that basically means is when you got when you've got a large power line that somehow opens or it breaks way up top there, when you have very high voltages and you break the connection, the very high voltages can cause something called an arc to occur, right? Which is basically plasma. It's a forced state of matter, and it defies what you would think. The electrons jump the gap, and as a result, you have a plasma that's flowing. That plasma is very hot, and that plasma can cause fires. So Camber Energy recently picked up an open conductor detection scheme to prevent forest fires from electrical transmission lines. This is huge. Okay. I can't even explain how huge it is. I live in California. We've had freaking forest fires out the wazoo for the last few years because of PG&E and oh, I can't even explain it. Okay. It's just, this is big. Okay. Not only that, they've now picked, it seems weird, but they're picking up these small money-making schemes all over the place. It's incredible. They've got Simpson Maxwell just picked up this biomedical biohazard waste treatment system. You know, it's awesome. They're doing a lot, and all these companies have chosen not to be paid in cash, but to be paid in stock. Okay, and that should tell you what they think of the future of the company. Anyway, that's my update for Camber Energy. It is April 25th, 2022. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Good night.